Hello, I'm Duncan Golestani. Welcome to Farming a Greener Future, a programme by the Agriculture and Horticulture Development Board and ITN Business. Agriculture is facing a huge challenge to support feeding the world's population that's predicted to reach over 9 billion by 2050, requiring 70% more food than we produce today. Throughout the programme, we're looking at the role livestock is playing in providing food security and how it can be produced in a sustainable way.
This is Shimpling Farm in Suffolk. It's a mixed organic farm which has been in John's family for over 4 generations. But with the pressures of climate change and sustainability, the farm has had to adapt in order for it to survive.
We are now farming without the use of artificial fertiliser or pesticides. And so that's changed our farming system completely into something that is sort of much more natural, sort of building fertility naturally within the soils. And so it's changed hugely, and we've had to learn fast to work out how to do that as well.
As well as eradicating the use of chemical sprays, another big factor in making the farm more sustainable is livestock. This flock of sheep was introduced to the farm 9 years ago. What role do your sheep play on this farm?
The grass and clover lays are building fertility in the soil. The sheep are eating that and also therefore, dunging on the fields and creating a natural fertiliser. But the other thing the sheep are doing are they're grazing our areas of our farm to keep weeds down so we don't have to use herbicides. So they're bringing an incredible amount to our rotation.
Livestock do two things. One, they can turn inedible plant-based food into very edible food for humans. The second thing is that they actually, when they defecate, that bacteria that breaks down that herbage, feeds the animal, but also produces methane, is full of both bacteria and fungi. And when that defecation hits the ground, it inoculates the soil. And most people forget that 60% of the world's biodiversity is not in the air. It's not in the trees, it's under the soil. And soil biology is inoculated by feces, by animals eating and defecating. And so our agriculture is very circular. If we take one part of the circle out, you lose the circularity of agriculture. So ruminants, that being cattle, that being sheep, that being dairy cows, are absolutely important to the biology of the food chain from animal down into the soil, into the plant, back up into the animal again.
After visiting the sheep, we visit one of the fields where John grows a special crop for the flock.
So the crop we're looking at the moment, this is called lucerne, and it's a legume. So what it does, it has these great big long roots that goes down into the soil, and they're looking for water, but they're looking for nutrients as well. And the reason why we've been really interested in this crop, lucerne, is because of that deep rooting depth. Because with climate change and getting much drier springs, we need crops that have the ability to really search for moisture. And so, this is going to be a big thing for us.
The strong connection between crops and livestock, however, wouldn't be possible without the use of modern technology.
These are different things we use for seeding, and we're farming organically, and some people think that it's sort of done in a very old-fashioned way, but actually we're using all modern technology to help us. So this is guided by a satellite. It also has a camera on it, which means that it can weed in between the rows of crops that it has sown. So we're using, a very sort of a modern organic way of farming.
Shimpling Farm is a modern example of where livestock and crops are grown in synergy. But how is the farming sector working towards creating sustainable farming practices that not only meet demands, but reduce the industry's carbon footprint?
It is our role to speak with farmers, not at farmers. So this is about actually having trust in our levy payers, that they are our future. And it is about empowering them with better quality knowledge, so they make better quality decisions. They actually make more money, and they reduce their environmental footprint, not just on carbon, but on water quality, on biodiversity, because what they do is they deliver multiple public goods, which actually the marketplace does not recognise at this stage.
I'm joined now by Kate Arthur, AHDB lead nutritionist. Welcome to you, Kate.
Hello.
It has been reported that the current food system is threatening the environment and human health. What do you think needs to change?
I think there's growing consensus now that we do need a dietary shift towards a healthier and sustainable diet if we're going to address those challenges such as obesity, malnutrition and climate change. And a healthy, sustainable diet it's a dietary pattern that's not only good for our health and good for the environment, but it's got to be affordable, accessible, achievable for everyone to be able to follow. So what does that mean in the UK? Well, for the UK population, we need to encourage people to switch into a healthy, balanced diet, like that recommended by the government dietary recommendations. And those recommendations, the Eat Well recommendations, they recommend a healthy, balanced diet, which includes a whole variety and diversity of plant-rich foods, such as fruits and vegetables, whole grain cereals, pulses, nuts and seeds. But it also includes animal source foods, such as meat, dairy, fish and eggs. They're really nutritious foods and should be part of a healthy, balanced diet.
Meat is a key source of protein and can have a role in a balanced diet, as you say, but some people do say we need to eat less. What's your opinion?
I think, firstly, we have to think about the role animal source foods play. They're highly nutritious, they're very nutrient dense. So let's take meat, for example. Meat is a very rich source of high quality protein. And not only that, it's got an abundance of vitamins and minerals. So, for example, it's very rich in things like iron, vitamin B12 and zinc. And these are nutrients that are often lacking in the diets, particularly in nutritionally vulnerable groups, such as children, young women, women of childbearing age, pregnancy, and older adults. And actually, if they're really cutting back on meat, they could become nutritionally vulnerable. And they really need to think about, if they are going to cut out meat, to replace it with suitable alternatives or fortification. I think the less meat message, it's not very helpful, really, because what does less meat actually mean? The government recommendations are to eat no more than 70 grams of red meat each day. In practical terms, that's around 500 grams of red meat a week, or 2 to 3 servings of red meat each week. And we know in the UK, most people, on average, will eat about the right amount of meat, but there are some groups that are eating too much, particularly young men. They are eating maybe a little bit too much and would benefit from eating a little less and eating that healthy, balanced diet. There are also groups in the population that are eating very little meat and may benefit from eating a little more. So it is really important when we're thinking about that less meat message, we've really got to think about individual dietary needs, dietary food preferences, as well as the social and cultural context in which we eat. You know, we want to enjoy food. It's got to be part of our everyday diet.
What is AHDB doing to help British farmers become more sustainable?
Well, we have to have a resilient farming system in the UK. It's really important because we need to deliver highly nutritious, good quality food that's environmentally sound, as well as making sure that it's economically viable for farmers and our growers. So at AHDB, we're politically and commercially independent. We provide scientific evidence and insights to our farmers and growers so they can make informed decisions about the food they produce to ensure that it's economically, environmentally and socially sustainable for now and for future generations to come.
Kate, thank you so much. Really valuable insight there. Kate Arthur from AHDB.
Thank you very much.
A proactive approach to managing the health and well-being of livestock contributes to our food security and safety. Boehringer Ingelheim Animal Health works closely with vets and farmers across the industry to help ensure no animal suffers from preventable disease and to balance and optimise the health of animals, people and the environment.
The lives of animals and humans are interconnected in deep and complex ways, and when animals are healthier, humans are too.
So the farm's been in the family about 50 years.
And here in Dorset, vet and farmer John Walsh closely monitors the health of his herd, and that starts from the moment his calves are born.
It's so important because we really like to have healthy animals and see the young stock coming up through the herd in a healthy way, and breeding our own young stock is very fulfilling. And as part of the vets as well, we work together with lots of our clients to try and increase the efficiency and healthiness of the animals coming through, so that they eventually will be productive animals that will help farmers become profitable and sustainable in the future.
So it's really important that we work in partnership with the farm and the vet practice.
And supporting John to do this is Boehringer Ingelheim, a global leader in the animal health industry.
We provide advanced preventative animal health care solutions, vaccination to prevent disease and therefore improve productivity. We work closely with vet practices and farms, and that synergistic approach is really important to make sure that we get the best outcomes for the animals that we can. We work hard to ensure that we have one of the highest standards of livestock production in the world.
Improving animal health also contributes to society's wider sustainability goals.
And healthy animals and good farming practices lead to a smaller environmental footprint.
UK animal health is probably one of the highest in terms of welfare, in terms of efficiency, in terms of the lowest carbon footprint. We work very closely in partnership with other stakeholders in the industry to make sure that we can reduce that carbon footprint through good health, reduce disease incidence, and certainly vaccination and other medicines play a part in keeping the animals healthy, which help human health and the environment as well.
And that partnership working is very much in evidence in the wider farming community here.
So the Young Stock Group started about 10 years ago. We've now up to a membership of about 35 farms. It's run by one of our great vets, Lucy, and she works closely with companies like Boehringer, implementing vaccine plans for farms. We send our vet technicians out every month and we weigh the calves from a young age so we know how they're growing. We collect data about health status from those animals, and then in the meetings we will focus on things like nutrition, and that really helps the farmers in that group benefit and become more sustainable.
Boehringer Ingelheim is rooted in its own family values, but is also forward-thinking, with a vision for improving animal and human health while protecting the environment. Values John and his own family share.
I want to leave the farm in a good shape for the next generation, and I want our children to be enthused and come into the farm and want to take it on. If they think it's not sustainable from a carbon footprint point of view or an animal health point of view, they're not going to be as enthusiastic to come into the business. Health and sustainability, for me, are inextricably linked. Without one, you haven't got the other.
Enhancing biodiversity on farms through regenerative practices is just one of the ways agriculture can have a positive impact across the globe. Cool Farm Tool equips farmers with metrics to quantify and inform farm management plans, empowering them to make improved decisions on farm.
Whether it's feeding pigs or attending to crops, a farm needs to consider its whole ecosystem from earth to table. Evidence shows healthy soils give us more nutritious food. Many farms are looking to the Cool Farm Tool to help nurture their land, protect climate and water resources, and increase biodiversity.
So we need our farm businesses to be resilient, we need the land to be resilient, economically, financially, environmentally at the same time, as well as socially. This tool enables farmers to be able to tick off some of the things, some of the challenges that they're facing. You just put in your data and it will give you a footprint. You don't have to do the calculations yourself. But once you've done that too, you can then toggle through it to see what a different activity will look like on your footprint. So you can start to see where you're performing. And it's not performing against a benchmark, it's looking at your own and having that year-on-year comparison and improvement. So we can really see if it's working or not.
And that's the key part to it, is actually having that validation through numbers to say, look, I've done this and this, and it's improved it by X, Y, or Z. The source of data at the moment depends on which pathway you're using. We use IPCC, which is the global one, as well as Greenhouse Gas Protocol, which is global, alongside Global Feed Index, etc. But also there's some people from universities all over the world that help demystify some of this science, because it's very complex, to be able to then translate that into a form that's usable for us at the farm level. So it depends on what type of...
Using quantified and credible metrics based on published data sets helps the tool provide a personalised, holistic view of the whole farm, empowering farmers to adopt regenerative practices, reduce carbon emissions and waste.
We are currently transitioning from conventional farming to regenerative farming, which is, the key driver of that is soil health. There's a number of pillars of regenerative farming. It's like incorporating animals into an arable rotation, maintaining a living root in the soil all the time, covering the soil, protecting the soil from the weather, reducing artificial and chemical inputs. Nowadays, there's all sorts of fantastic bits of kit that we can use to help us to baseline information, understand better what's going on in our soils and around us, and use that to sort of guide our management and practices. Some of these tools are helping us to sort of monitor emissions. So if we can understand our emissions that we're producing on farm, then we can change our practices to reduce them. Embracing technology in farming is actually absolutely key if we're going to move forward as an industry. So I think it'll benefit farmers all over the UK.
Regenerative farming isn't just a phase, it's paving the way for the future fertility of our land. Cool Farm Alliance brings together key stakeholders from across the supply chain to restore the diversity of the land and support farmers to make better choices to build soil health and resilience, whether that's for crops or livestock.
The Cool Farm Alliance is the mission's really about accelerating a transition to regenerative and sustainable agriculture through credible, globally aligned metrics, so that there's that standard quantification that can help inform decision making. And the Cool Farm tool itself is really about that quantification and the democratization of knowledge, so that the farmers have that information to be able to make those informed decisions themselves. We span the supply chain, so we've got multinationals and we've got NGOs, and one of the things we've created recently is a farm advisory board to help us bring the voice of farmers into the alliance, so that they can air their grievances, they can share their opportunities and their best practices. It allows a channel of communication to take place. This is where global collaboration comes in, because there might be something that a farmer does in West Africa. Yes, it's from a West African context, but it might be so in tune with nature that it might be really applicable to be considering in the industrialized sort of farming systems. And there's things to learn from all sorts of places around the world. So we should be open to that.
The future of farming, and to keep billions fed, is to ensure the land is nurtured. Change can start on the farm, but its influence will impact us all.
Machinery and tools have supported the rapid evolution of agriculture. Today's machinery meets stringent regulations to be safe and environment friendly. Bobcat started their journey with the invention of a machine to clean poultry sheds 65 years ago and is still leveraging new technology to best support the industry's needs.
Improving efficiency is paramount for farmers all over the world. Fourth-generation farmer Tony Quinn has seen the huge changes that machinery has brought to everyday agricultural practice during his lifetime. Over the decades, Tony has built up his farm to the point where 350 cows are milked every day. With his farm and livestock numbers expanding, Tony needed machinery to meet the growing demands for his increasing workload.
And we bought a Bobcat. Then another year or two, we kept that for a few years with a great machine inside the yard. So then we bought another Bobcat.
Tony puts his personal satisfaction with their machinery down to its flexibility, suitability and the backup service from the Cuddy family, which runs nearby Adair Machinery.
When you're dealing with the farming community, you have to be prepared to have the late night phone calls and get the weekend phone calls, but the relationship is the most important part of it. And in one sense, the machine actually is secondary to that. So long as there's trust with your customer and you to provide a backup service, they'll be very happy to deal with you. We try to provide the best solution that we possibly can, and we do that in partnership with Bobcat.
Bobcat leverages their 60-year heritage in farming, working closely with farmers to create technology that is both effective and sustainable.
Bobcat is assisting sustainable agriculture through a series of new innovation. We have lots of technology coming through, which may be smart screens, sensors, lasers, cameras, and all of this means more productive operation of the machine and also doing that in a safer environment. One of the exciting things that we're doing at the moment is what we call a smart screen, and it really is using existing glass in the cab as a smart screen, and this with a combination of cameras ensures that the operator has a touchscreen to better control the machine, but also has cameras to ensure that he still has the right level of visibility and to cover blind spots that the machine may inherently have.
But one major challenge in recent years has been a declining workforce.
I think the biggest change that we have seen really is the shortage of labour. So that's why people are looking to go down the machinery route and invest in new machinery so it can do more. And through Bobcat and through the equipment that we provide, it allows people to do their jobs quicker or more efficiently, so they have time then to focus on the more important things.
And with net zero as a focus for the farming sector, Bobcat is addressing ongoing environmental challenges.
We comply rigorously to all the legislation to ensure that we meet all the noise and emissions legislations on diesel engines to ensure they are as clean as possible. We incorporate a lot of clever electronics to ensure that we're getting maximum efficiency from the engines by having electronic control units control the machine rather than the operator. We're already selling full electric in the market in terms of compact excavators, and this is scalable technology. So we started by being able to put full electric packs into the smallest machines, knowing that we can scale it up and apply it to anything that's larger.
So for a man who spent his youth using shovels, wheelbarrows and exhausted himself from manual labour, the question is, has this technology made a convenient difference to Tony Quinn's life?
Well, they've made a awful difference in this yard anyway. You have the work job done and gone in half the time.
Sustainable farming has the potential to not only reduce the impact on the environment, but create higher yields and healthier livestock. Platt's Agriculture is helping to create a more sustainable farming industry by turning manufacturing byproduct into multi-use animal bedding, creating a life cycle for both its suppliers and customers.
The journey from farm to plate is vital, not just in feeding the population, but to local and national economies. How sustainably that journey is made is more important than ever to the future of farming and the health of the planet. It requires a commitment to carbon reduction from the entire supply chain. Enter Platt Agriculture, a family-run firm which has been on quite a journey itself.
We discovered sawdust and shavings from a local joinery shop, and we used it for our own animals, but there was too much for our own farm, so my mum had this genius idea to start selling it to other local farmers in the area.
50 years later, Platt supplies animal bedding and cubicle conditioner products to farms across the UK and Ireland. But more importantly, it's pivoted into a business committed to sustainability.
We collect wood residues from the wood manufacturing industry nationally, and those byproducts from the wood manufacturing processes are brought back to our site here at Clyde, and we make them into really specialised value-added products that have been designed over the 50 years to support animal health and welfare and increase milk yields.
The life cycle starts from the trees in the forest. They're sourced sustainably by our suppliers. That Byproduct then is collected in a trailer, otherwise going to landfill or being burnt. And then we bring that back here and then it's manufactured on our site and then sent out to farmers. The farmers typically use a cupful on a mat twice a day.
That's all it takes to create untold benefits, and not just for the cows.
They have a saying here, happy cows make happy farmers. And the product that Platt's make here ensures both.
Platt's premium cubicle conditioner powder bed is designed to absorb moisture, therefore reduce slurry.
It keeps the cow clean, then you've got less bacteria, lower cell counts, which reduces mastitis, less antibiotic use, and of course reduced vet bills. And then on top of that, the cows are coming in cleaner to the parlour, quicker to prepare, overall improved efficiencies all round.
Those efficiencies are vet approved, especially when it comes to the high standard of animal welfare farms must now adhere to.
Due to the excellence of the materials and the consistency of delivery, we have seen reduced somatic cell counts in herds which previously had a problem, and we've seen reduced clinical mastitis rates after changing and moving forward with Platt's bedding. We are pushing towards a more sustainable future, promoting a more sustainable future within our business, and we're very keen to work with people who are doing likewise.
Platt has invested heavily to create that sustainable future.
The baler behind me produces our fine bed and powder bed bales. We've seen a 30% reduction in plastic. In 2020, we recently installed our hudder, and it keeps the pallets nice and waterproof for the farmers so they can be stored outside for up to 2 years.
They've also increased the number of bales per pallet, reducing carbon footprint per bale.
So as a company, by our nature, certainly sustainability is at our core, but that's the same for our customers as well. So a lot of farmers, they're stewards of the land, where they live, where they farm. So I would say that actually that's embedded in farmers' values.
I believe that Platts are the conduit to enable that to happen, both from the wood manufacturing aspect and industry, but also linking up to the agricultural side and putting that carbon back into the soil to enhance that circular economy, to ensure the future sustainability of the planet.
At its heart, though, Platt remains a family company, which looks after the world by looking after its own.
We are rolling out programmes so that all our staff are supported on that net zero journey. So everybody knows their carbon footprint, and it's just building those ethoses around the company, around the organisation, and with all our stakeholders, with everybody that we work with. So we're all on that journey together.
Thank you for watching Farming a Greener Future. We hope you enjoyed this programme. From me and the team at ITN Business, goodbye.